Hello and welcome to Real Heart Talk. You are enough, where we showcase women and how that they've overcome, started creating sustainability, and taken their power back. And today I am delighted to bring to you Shadow's Pub. She is a 60 plus woman who resides in the small community in Eastern Ontario, Canada. She originally adopted her online name as a privacy measure online, and it has since become her online persona and increasingly her brand. No, the name is not a person seated in the shadowy corner of a local pub getting soused. The pub in her name refers to Shadows Publishing, under which she creates and publishes journals and coloring books. She has been a writer most of her life, but only really pursuing it while at home during the pandemic. In 2022, after hearing many people who felt the same about finding a niche, she decided to embrace nichelessness and created a website, newsletter, and podcast that celebrated her nichelessness called Nicheless and Loving It. I love the name of that podcast. And in June, yeah, it's great. In June of 2023, she started down a path that would challenge her nicheless nature. And curious to improve her use of the generative art engine Midjourney, she started playing with words to create images. So one thing led to another, and soon she found she was using a word, its meaning, and how it was used to create a different image every day. Shadows has always explored personal growth and her spirituality. So in doing the exploration of the images and words, it has become the daily echo, and it's come together in layers. By the early 2024, she realized that this project had taken a life of its own and had become a part of her daily life. So she named it the Daily Echo. In 2024, she started a Go Brunch platform where she hosts several virtual rooms. And I love this because she has built a virtual art gallery. So in September of 2024, she started showcasing her images from her daily echoes in the rooms. And then in November, she accepted the challenge to create a podcast every day for 30 days for the National Podcast Posting. And so she published 30 podcasts in 30 days. Her goal was to create reflections 5 to 8 minutes in length using the extensive notes that she had from creating the echoes and some additional material she added specific to the quote and comment. So she has her Go Brunch art gallery. She has Life on the Echo, where you can explore a brief overview of her echoes, media room where people can listen to the podcast, lobby to where they find their way around. This reminded me of Clubhouse when I was reading this, but it's all right. It's all good. So in 2025, which I can't wait to see or hear about this new discussion salon where you're planning to host discussions in 2025. That's also a Go Brunch room. So Shadows is very busy. And even though she started out as nicheless, she is more niche today than she was when the year started. So I'm happy to have you on the podcast. Welcome, Shadows Pub.
Thank you, Pam. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and I want to talk about your journey on your no pun intended, your journey with the Midjourney. Because I think that is so creative and innovative. If you want to share just, how your daily echoes started and how you got into the Midjourney, I think people would love to hear about that.
So I was already playing around with Midjourney, and in fact, it didn't take me very long to blow through most of the subscription levels on Midjourney. I guess I was being a little obsessive or something. So you reach a point where, when you're playing around with prompts, you want to do something different. And I thought, what can I do with just using a word? So then I started playing with just a word, and I wasn't getting real interesting images. So, well, I'll take a look at the meaning. I looked at the meaning, and it didn't really produce much of anything. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just go over to ChatGPT and I'll just get it to give me some background information, like how's it been used symbolically? How's it been used culturally? Metaphorically? literally, that's this sort of thing. And I started at that point getting the first round of background information that was giving me ideas on how to form prompts.
Mm.
So then after a while, I thought, there's so much variety of styles and color combinations and prompts themselves. I eventually went back and I created a custom chat GPT that would give me variety as far as colors and styles, and I specified to it the range of styles that I wanted it to do in kind of random. And that custom GPT has become the basis of pretty well all the prompts that I do in Midjourney.
Mhm.
If I've got a particular thing I want to do, like for example, when I'm doing a go brunch room, I'll
Mhm.
say to Chat GPT, this is kind of what I want the room to look like. Give me a description as though you were instructing an artist that doesn't have a reference image. And it would give me this very detailed description. Then I'd take that detailed description, and I'd put that in my custom GPT, and I'd say, give me 5 prompts that would reflect this style of room.
Mhm.
And then I would take those 5 prompts over to Midjourney and create images from them and start playing with them until I got a room that I liked.
Mhm. I
And
love that. So creative.
it's putting out AI to use. Instead of
Mhm.
me trying to remember all those styles, it does
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, that and did you have a lot of training in design, any kind of graphic design at all, or you're just interested in art? What's your level of expertise?
Self-taught. I'm self-taught in a
Yay!
lot of things. So I will mention to you that my formal education
Yeah.
is as a electromechanical technician with a specialty in robotics.
Oh,
And I
that's
took that in the early 80s. It was a 2-year program that was completed in 1 year.
awesome.
So it was a
Congrats.
little demanding.
Yeah.
But beyond that, everything else I do is self-taught.
No, that's amazing. So everyone listening, if you are looking for something, I know GPT, AI, that's all the buzzwords going around. You hear this is self-taught. This is something you can do. You have the ability to go in and just put in your prompts. And I think the more specific you are, is what I'm hearing, the more that customize your images will be. I haven't, yeah, I've had a little exposure to Midjourney, but not as much. I have used Chat GPT, but is Midjourney specifically for images or can you do other things with it?
It's specifically for images.
Oh,
They are working on some other developments with it, but at the
mhm.
moment it's for images.
Okay. And when you create the images, can you download them like in a JPEG or PNG, or is what kind of file does it create for you?
It creates
JPEG.
yes, JPEG. I had to stop and think on that.
Okay. Yeah, that's easily downloadable. In Chat GPT, it does something weird.
Yes, it does it in WebP, which is great for a compressed image on the web, but it
Yeah,
doesn't work so well in a lot of editors. But you
it
can
doesn't.
tell ChatGPT, convert that to PNG or convert that to JPEG, and it will do it.
Gosh, look at you. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, prompt driven. Just tell it what you want. It'll spit it out. Gotcha. I love that. Okay, so you are a writer and an artist. Did you start writing and drawing or creating, from a child, or did you have anything in your life that just drove you to it as an outlet? Tell us how you got started in all this creativity.
So I will tell you, I am artistic when it comes to Midjourney, and I can use Dali. But when it comes to me picking up a pen and drawing, stick figures should be pretty good.
Okay.
I have tried over the years to teach myself to draw.
Uh-huh.
Haven't been terribly successful at it. Probably haven't stuck with it long enough. So as far as the writing goes, I've been pretty much doing that as early as I could remember.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an introvert, and I've
Yeah.
always been an introvert, and I've actually probably been fairly reserved a good part of my life. So a good way of expressing myself was in writing.
That's nice. I love to write. I'm a writer as well. Do you have any published poems or books published out there?
Not books.
Not
I have articles.
okay.
I write on Medium, and I write on a blockchain called Hive.
Okay.
I've been writing on there now for 8 years.
Oh, nice.
I don't do as many in-depth articles on there as I used to do.
Mhm.
I think I'm caught up in something called the Daily Echo.
Yeah, I
Well,
think that
I do once a week publish a recap of the Pimp Your Post Thursday audio show that I do. So there's that.
okay. That's now is that your PY?
PYPT?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you now know what the letters mean.
Yes. Now I know. That's awesome. So your articles, are they more technical in nature? I mean, is it along your robotics degree? I mean, it sounds like that you just kind of get in technology and just keep it rolling and going. It kind of feeds you. I love technology myself. So
Actually, they can vary. I've written reflections, particularly reflections around some of the original words that I did. What are now called the echo was that back then was just words.
uh-huh.
Um, I've written kind of historical type articles. I do enjoy history. One topic I've written on a few times is the sinking of the Titanic. And part of
Mm.
that is there's a family connection there. My great grandfather went down on it.
Oh my gosh.
So it was kind of interesting looking at the history of the Titanic. And the last time I wrote about it, a friend of mine, I mentioned it to him, and I don't know where he searched it out, but anyways, he came back with some material for me that showed me that my great grandfather, who was working his passage as a fireman, like
Uh-huh.
a stoker,
Yeah.
he had gone off shift 10 minutes before the Titanic hit the iceberg.
Wow.
So, in all likelihood, he never actually went off shift
Yeah.
because he probably would have been back on duty immediately as soon as the emergency happened.
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. I mean, I'm sorry about that, but I mean, it's just I've never literally talked to anybody that had somebody, related on the Titanic.
So
But
that was my mother's father.
mm,
He was 14 years, sorry, he
no,
was 14 years old at the time, and
mm,
he was working sweeping floors in a lawyer's office in Toronto.
wow.
And when it came time for settlements, his mother
Hmm.
and his sister received a settlement. He was classified as self-sufficient. He got
Mm,
nothing.
wow.
That would not happen in this day and age.
Yeah. No. No. Wow. That is amazing. Well, I would love to. I mean, are those accessible on Hive or on your the mediums that you post on? Is that accessible to the public?
They should be. I'd have to do a search on it.
Okay.
And another article that gets kind of popular, and becomes popular because at the end of PYPT, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing my closing, the one of the last things I say is bye Wilma. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And that came about because I told a story about a eavesdropping neighbor when I was growing up. In those days, there were party lines, and there were a different ring for each person on the party line, and
Right.
you were only supposed to pick up on your ring. Well, she picked up on everybody's ring.
Oh my goodness.
We were actually there. My mother took me over there one day. She went over for tea, and
Uh-huh.
on the way over, my mother said to me, she says, "Doesn't matter what she does. You're in her home. You say nothing about what she does." And I kind of looked at it. This is weird, but oh well.
Yeah.
Well, what she was doing was warning me in advance because while we were sitting there talking, the party line went off. It was not their ring, and she reached over, breaking the conversation, to pick this phone up and sit there and listen.
Oh my gosh.
So mother had warned me in advance not to open my mouth.
Oh,
So we got to the point we knew she was on the line, and
Uh-huh.
we towards the end of the conversation, you'd say goodbye to the person that you're speaking to, and then we would say bye, Wilma. And of course, she wouldn't hang up at that point because we'd hear the click. So I
Yeah.
told the story during PYPT and never really thought anything of it until we got to the end of the show and somebody said, "Aren't you going to say bye to Wilma?" So that was great for the people that were regulars then.
Hmm.
But you get a few years down the road and people are going, "Who's Wilma?" So I had written this, I wrote the article out about her, and you know, Kitty Girl, who's often in the show, she will pull the link up and give it to the person who says, "Who's Wilma?"
That's funny.
So
I
they
think
can
I
get in
did.
on the joke.
Yeah, I think I did hear you say that on because I was on. I don't know. I might not have been there at the end, but I do remember you talking about that on something. Maybe it was on a Discord show
It
or
may have been.
yeah. That is funny. So, for our listeners, do you have your favorite article or some encouraging or supportive word that you would like to share? Maybe related to any experience that you've had. To help encourage them to get them through. That they're not alone. That they're going to make it. We made it. They're going to make it.
Hmm. Well, to be honest with you, Pam, you've seen enough of my echoes. I think most of them are kind of along that line.
I love them. They are. And they're on LinkedIn, by the way, everybody listening. You can go on LinkedIn, look up Shadows Pub. You can see all of her images, and she has beautiful quotes or verbiage. I don't know if all of them are quotes, but she has definitely a description of them all, and they're very inspiring.
So there's a quote and there's a follow-up comment. And one of the constraints I put on is whatever the word is that day,
Uh-huh.
that word, not a version of that word, but that word must be used in the quote,
Oh, okay. I
which
love.
makes it really interesting.
Yeah.
Some days that's challenging. And then the follow-up comment, I don't have to use the word, and I can make it a little bit almost explanatory of the first one,
Yeah.
which helps to shed a little more light on the quote. When I first started doing the images, I wasn't doing a quote. I was just putting the images out.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend was here one day. I was doing something for him, and he says to me, he says, "Some days I don't get that." What do you mean you don't get that? He says, "Some days," he says, "I don't see the connection between the word and the image." I says, "Well, art's subjective. You're not
Mhm.
always going to see it."
Yeah.
And he went, "Oh, yeah, okay." But his comment stuck with me. And it wasn't long after that's when I started creating the quotes.
Mhm. I love that. I think it does give it a little more definition, a description. And then people can interpret that too, as well, and apply it to their life, ever how it fits in.
My goal is helping them understand the word,
Hmm.
often in a context they would not expect, because it usually is for me, and or inspiration or thought provoking.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so we got 2025 coming up. What's the new thing that you're doing with this salon?
The salon. The room has been built,
Yeah.
actually. It's there. And what I'm going to do or hoping to do is to set a day, set a time, and we will talk about a word or more than one word if the conversation takes us there. But we'll start off with one. I'll have to decide what the word is and how to get the conversation going, and then figure out how to get people into the room.
Okay. I like it. So is it going to be your passwords, or are these all going to be all new words?
There'll be a past word.
Okay.
As I mentioned, there's an extensive file that
Yeah.
I've got for each one of the words,
Okay.
so that'll give some material to work from.
Yeah, that's good. And you have people from everywhere in your room. So, you'll get a bunch of different perspectives. from
This,
people that went in.
this is inspired by a room that used to exist over on Clubhouse, actually.
Oh, okay. What was it called?
It
The
was
same.
called the Claire's Corner.
Oh, okay.
A lady by the name of Stacy Vaughn operated the room, and she did it every year, every day for a year.
Okay.
And how she would start the room off was she would read a passage out of a book,
Uh-huh.
and the conversation would flow from there.
Oh,
Now,
nice.
some of her rooms ran as many as 6 hours. Mine
Oh,
are not going to.
yeah. Are you going to have a limit on your room? Or are you going to just say an hour or 2 hours or?
I'm going to shoot for an hour, but if if the conversation's flowing and it wants to go 2 hours, that's fine.
Okay.
Um, I learned from experience with PYPT that long rooms are really hard on the host.
Yeah.
Guests can come and go, but the host is there the whole time.
Right.
I used to do 2 episodes of PYPT on a Thursday. So I would do one at 11 in the morning and the other at 7 in the evening. And then there was a chat, usually an after chat.
Uh-huh.
And I've seen me go 4 hours on each of those shows. And then the after chat bridge between those 4 hours.
Wow.
That burns you out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the target will be not much more than 2 hours.
Okay. Now that's true. And I'm glad that you kind of, follow the flow. Even when I was on Clubhouse, we would host some rooms, me and a couple of friends of mine, and they would last 2 or 3 hours. I'm not, but the conversation flowed so much, it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel
Yeah.
like we've been there for 2 or 3 hours. So I'm like, wow, we've been here this long. We gotta go. We got stuff to do.
And to be honest, a lot of times when Stacy's rooms went that long, you hardly noticed that it was 6 hours. It was like, we've been
Yeah.
here all this time.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, now you know that you're in your passion or your wheelhouse. Maybe it's your pain you're turning into purpose or some mess you're figuring out a message. So that's when you know that it's really making a difference for you, and that way you can go and create things to make a difference for others.
This project with the echoes has been something that I find myself drawn into.
Mm,
And, yes, the words themselves fascinate me, and the very fact that it doesn't seem to matter what the word is.
mhm,
There is a personal growth or spiritual journey perspective that
mhm,
can be found on that word, whether it's metaphorical, literal, or whatever.
mhm.
It's there, and that is fascinating in itself. But
Yeah.
there's something else that just keeps drawing me, and I'm just letting it do it.
Mhm. You haven't figured that out yet, right?
I don't want to. I think the word's called surrender.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that.
Let
Yeah.
it roll.
Yeah. That's a good
So
one. Mhm.
I'm also going to be shooting towards doing a weekly podcast with the reflection.
Okay.
Um, I'll just choose one of the words that have come up that week or week before or whatever,
Mhm.
uh, and roll with that. And I don't know, there may be some other projects like yeah, some of those reflections may end up in a book.
Mhm.
We'll see.
Yeah, you should do a book. That would be amazing. I can see it.
Yeah, I've kind of toyed with it, and I've had a few people mention to me about doing calendars with them.
Mm. That would be amazing as well.
Hmm. And some of the images may very well end up in wall art.
Mhm.
The
Well,
biggest,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to comment on your art gallery because I mean, do you help people set up the Go Brunch rooms and figure out the art gallery? Because I really want to do that. I mean, maybe I can get you to help me because my dad, I know we talked about on one of Keith's shows, but my dad has a lot of art, pictures that he took. They're photography, but still they're art. And I just would love to, showcase them in his memory.
Hmm. Um, I could do. It's not something I put myself out to be doing, even though I
Mhm.
did take that Storyscape certification for Go Brunch. Artemis might maybe be able to give you a hand.
Okay. No, that would be great.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just thinking, in the moment that I need to get that going. I know I said I was going to.
No,
And
I think it's a great project, and Go Brunch is the perfect place to do it.
yeah. Okay. Well, I may take a stab at it myself, and if I get stuck, I'll
That
message.
works too.
Yeah.
I will
So
tell you that
yeah.
that room was not done all in one piece.
Mm, yeah, I can see me piecing it together.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like each level, well, let's say the marble floor was one piece,
Uh-huh.
each level was another piece, and then the frames on the wall, that was another piece again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a thought project. We need to put a project plan around. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I know. People look at a room like that and they think, "Oh, how am I going to do that in Dali?" And it's like one piece at a time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've so enjoyed you being here, and I would love if you have anything to say to our audience to encourage them either in the AI space or the creativity space. Just share something with them and then where people can find you.
Okay, well, obviously you can find me on Go Brunch. I do have a an email list for the Daily Echoes. My newsletter is going to be repackaged in the new year, and it's going to become the Shadows Dispatch. So I'm still working on how I'm going to do that.
I love that name. That's great.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of realized I have to move away from the Nicheless and Loving it because I'm clearly not Nicheless.
Niche, yay.
But when it comes to AI, to me, it doesn't matter how old we are.
Yeah.
Embrace the technology, have
Mm,
some fun with it.
yeah.
When you relax with AI and you realize that, yes, it's it's not a person, but you
Mhm.
can actually talk to it like a person.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool because you get this rapport going back and forth.
Well, and it's learning you, right? That's really what it's doing.
Yes. And
Yeah.
if you want to know what it knows about you, ask it. I'm serious.
What did you just learn?
It's not the first time that, I've kind of tested that by saying to Chat GPT, what do you
Uh-huh.
know about me?
Mm,
And it will tell you what it has learned about you.
wow. That's a good prompt. What do you know about me?
What do you know about me? So yeah,
Okay.
embrace it. It's a new world. It's a new paradigm. It's going to be there and present with us. So
Yeah.
learn to live with it. We learn to live with computers.
Yes, for sure. But Shadows talking about that in my mind, I want to keep my foot on the ground because you don't want to be solely so dependent on this because there are mistakes. I mean, it makes mistakes. It can't feel that human spirit. It can't decide with empathy on anything. It is truly mechanical. So, I like to think about it and the possibilities, but also I want to keep, my foot on the ground.
Well, I agree with you on that. And that's one of the reasons why I will use it as a tool to get background information and brainstorming with it. But any writing that you see me do, that's my writing.
Yeah.
I
Good.
will not let it write for me.
Yeah. I like that.
Interestingly enough, it can identify nuance. It can't express it,
Hmm.
but it can identify it. It will identify emotions, but can't express them. And they'll tell you it can't express them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
that's
and the
good.
other place that you can find me is I'm Shadows Publishing on Instagram.
Okay. Great. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed this conversation. And everyone listening, go check out Shadows Publishing on Instagram. You can find her also on LinkedIn. I know she has a webpage, and I'll post all that in the show notes as well. But her work is truly amazing and it's very inspirational. So just dive in. You're worthy. You can do it. You can get an AI. You can join Chat GPT free. You don't have to start out with the Midjourney and all that. You can start out with just with the free Chat GPT to get experience. And there's your first prompt. We're giving it to you. What do you know about me? So,
And 6 months later, ask it again and see how much it's learned.
oh
Thanks
my,
for having me, Pam.
thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining, and stay tuned for the next episode.